We'll move on now with more of the podcast and YouTube stuff, and indeed talking about this week's NXT. So let's speak about WWE NXT this week, and of course the big news coming off of this week's London NXT taping is that there will be perhaps no future for WWE NXT, as it's been officially announced that WWE SmackDown will be moving to the Sci-Fi channel, and that of course leaves NXT without a home. Now, Sci-Fi is a bigger platform than My Network TV, and this is the kind of thing that SmackDown needs now. But NXT Season 1, very different, very unique. Sad to see it go if indeed that's the case.
Yeah, I don't want to say. I love NXT. I actually look forward to watching it every week, unlike SmackDown. But I don't know if that's the greatest move. I don't see it even doing huge numbers, SmackDown, on when it goes to Sci-Fi, because when you compare those two shows, NXT and SmackDown, across each side of what they deliver, from entertainment to in-ring action to just as a general product, I think NXT is the better show. I can't remember the last time I've said that was a really good SmackDown. It's been a long time since I've said that. Probably sometime last year, maybe towards the end of last year, or maybe after the draft last year, I think was the last time I was like, okay, this is cool. I like what they've done, and Jericho was in the mix and everything. But yeah, I think it's a terrible move to get rid of NXT.
It is, and I always wondered what the story was, because everywhere I've seen the show posted, and indeed on the program, they've referred to it as Season 1. That's been made very clear. So we knew that at some point it was going to be either terminated or indeed just finish its run and then start a new one. Was it going to be immediately? I suppose we may not ever know now, but certainly WWE have promised, at least at this point, to sort of keep the program going. I know some backstage sources quoted in dirt sheets, again we take it with a pinch of salt, have said that they could indeed go to a route of self-broadcasting NXT. They have the website and the bandwidth. Sure, the picture quality wouldn't be as good as what we're used to, but if they can keep NXT going and indeed start a new web phenomenon, it would be very welcome. And I think NXT could work very well for the YouTube and indeed sort of live video streaming generation. It could be a big draw. It could be one that gets a lot of hits.
Yeah, it could be, because it's a lot better than what Heat was as a pre-tape show to SmackDown. But then again, for developing stars and developing people, even if they do the draft and all that, for people who are unfamiliar with these characters that have been built off TV and on a web-based program, I mean, not everybody's going to watch those shows on the web. It's going to be hard to take somebody like Skip Sheffield and put him on to Raw if he's not been on TV and he's already established on a web program, if NXT does go on the web. Speaking of Skip Sheffield, how over was he on the NXT this week? The UK crowd I was digging that big time.
Skip Sheffield was big, the crowd loved him, and indeed he didn't go for any of this discuss this rubbish topic BS. He just went straight for the crowd, and indeed he knew how to make those guys pop, and indeed those chants of yep, wow, I mean, that's something that the crowd really loved, and Skip Sheffield has proven himself as a guy who can at least get the crowd amped up. He hasn't had that full-on shoot promo in the ring yet, but we're waiting for it, and I think it's going to be very, very good. But this segment this week, again, a little bit better than a keg carrying contest, but to have all those guys in the ring, the NXT rookies, and to have them sort of square off, we had Tarver with that bandana and the T on the bandana, kind of a gimmick where he's not going to speak but then he speaks, so they're maybe directing him in a kind of a comedian sort of a heel role. But other guys that were on the promo this week at the beginning of NXT were given horrible discussion topics. I'm not sure what the purpose was, but I mean, asking a guy to talk about flowers and bubblegum, I mean, What was that all about? What was the reason for that? You're just embarrassing them.
Yeah, I really would love to know if it was like an inside rib or a shoot on most of those guys, especially Daniel Bryan's one, and if it was legit or not. But he cracks me up, I have to say. He's just shoot work no matter what way they're running that whole thing. If they know their topics before they go out, even the whole cold thing, if it's off the cuff, it's absolutely fucking hilarious. I really think it's just really, really good. And I'm loving Daniel Bryan. I think he's even on an entertainment scale and the kind of goofy gimmick he's going on alongside the great wrestling, of course. But it works perfectly for him.
Yeah, it does. And I suppose I just thought maybe they could have been given the chance to cut a proper promo. I mean, they had them all in the ring, and it has to have been a rib. I mean, talk about flowers, talk about bubblegum. There has to be something there that inspired that. I certainly don't get what they were actually trying to get out of it, but I was very interested to see that Justin Gabriel was booed by the crowd. Now, that maybe the reason was a little bit off key. I mean, why did the English crowd boo the fact that he was from South Africa? That made no sense whatsoever. But certainly, I suppose if you call out any other country's name in a big arena like that, you're going to get a reaction. Now, Skip Sheffield with that funny promo, massive heat there for him. Indeed, they liked what he did. And indeed, Tarver as well. His topic was itchy. I mean, that just didn't give him anything to go on, and had to feel sorry for him. But then at the end of that, Justin Gabriel looking a bit vindicated when the crowd finally cheered for him on the way back round.
Yeah, Justin Gabriel. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the table. Yeah, I don't know about him. I'm still kind of undecided with that guy, but. Yeah, I think Heath Slater is the dark horse in this picture.